this course, hi Benjamin, this course was written by a very well educated anyway in our organization. He did the master's program, if anyone's heard of that, in Italy, which I think when he did it was like a 7-year program. So he's thoroughly versed in all the different texts, etc., etc. And so what he's done is he's put this mindfulness course together. He's written it. I'm in the middle of trying to edit it because it's a little it's unedited anyway. So sometimes it's hard for me to work out what's he trying to say. But anyway, it's based on the Nalanda tradition, His Holiness's recommended tradition that we follow when we're studying. And you'll also recognize, any of you who've done any kind of mindfulness meditation, you'll recognize some of the things. But it's specific to this tradition and it's specific to our organization as well. So, anyway, let's go ahead. You probably find so anyway, it has a lineage. It's not just like the regular mindfulness meditation that you see out in the marketplace. And it's excellent to become mindful and present. But then I think this, from what I've understood, this course goes into a fair amount of detail and depth that you may not get out in the regular marketplace. And because some of you have been coming to the morning meditations, you will, there's not a huge difference really as to what we've been doing previously, particularly in the beginning and the end of the meditations we're doing. So I wanted to just share with you this image. It's quite sweet. And then I'll explain to you what mindfulness is. Hi, Shayla. Hi, Nim. So here, this is us, the monk. This elephant is our mind, and this little monkey is our distractions. And this little monkey, of course, this is a Tibetan image, but this little monkey is leading the mind, and of course, we're just following along behind, trying to catch up. And that's pretty much how we are when we're meditating. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I certainly feel like this most of the time. Sorry. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to stop sharing that. And let's just, before we start the rest of this, let's just settle into a comfortable seated posture. So just like we normally do in the mornings. Just excuse me for a minute. That. Okay, Mary's saying I can make Shayla host, so I'll just go ahead and do that. Make host. There you go. All right, and I'll probably ask you to share. Let me share in a moment. Hi, Keela. Welcome. I'm surprised that so many people are here, given that I couldn't even get on a few minutes ago because I couldn't find the course. All right, so let's just settle into comfortable seated posture. Nim, is that Nim from Australia? Nimendra?
Yes, it is.
It is.
How
Well,
are you?
welcome. It's so nice to see
Thank
you
you.
here. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Nim's in Perth. That's where I think he used to be. That's where I come from, or a little bit south of Perth. Anyway, so let's go back to, I think it's always good to just kind of check in with yourself before we start any kind of practice. So if you're sitting at your desk, have both feet flat on the floor, about a hip's width apart. And you may feel the sensations, the weight of the feet on the floor, the sensations of, what you're wearing on your foot, or maybe you don't wear anything on your foot. So the surface of the floor, the surface of your, the socks. So just notice that. And feel the weight of the soles of the foot, the heel, the side of the foot, and the big toe mound, the little toe mound, and then just kind of wriggle your toe pads, put some pressure on the floor. Actually, if you're sitting cross-legged, you can still do the same thing. You're just putting kind of pressure on the back of your legs, upper leg, thigh. Now feel the weight of your hands in your lap, and you can just have them resting on your lap or in the traditional mudra, right hand nestled in the left, with the thumbs touching. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to talk about this particular mudra activating the bodhicitta channel. And, I kept thinking I need to ask Rinpoche what he actually means by that, or what channels is this kind of activating. And unfortunately, I never did get a chance to. But when I sort of sit there like this, I feel kind of contained. And it does feel like it's containing this whole area of my upper body, including my heart. But there's so many kind of energetic channels within our body that, can't be operated on by surgery, can't be seen necessarily. This is how acupuncture works, how a lot of energy works, and energy work kind of works. So because of who Rinpoche was, and he was also an extremely practical, quite excellent, good at business, surprisingly, extremely astute in many, many things, and very, very wise. So when someone like Rinpoche does sort of say that, I listen. So I'm exploring what that actually means. So I'm sorry I can't give you an explanation that would have any truth behind it today as to why. So then feel the weight of the sits bones in your seat, your shoulders align with your hips. And then as best you can, now you imagine you've got this kind of the tips of your ears, like Dr. Spock. And they're kind of pointy. So imagine you're lengthening your head and neck away from your shoulders, and then think about gliding your head back so it's in line with your shoulders and your hips. And when you're doing that, try not to just stick out the ribs. So bring the ribs in, align the ribs, the hip bones, and the shoulders, and the ears, if you can. There is enormous benefit in having the head aligned. As we get older, we lose a lot of strength in the front part of the body, in the core, and we start to go like this. So, of course, as you're kind of collapsing, you know what's happening with your chest. You can't breathe as well. And then, of course, your head's down, and we're forward-thinking people. So what we do is we go like this. So then the posture that you have then is a constriction in the back of the neck, a rounded back, rounded shoulders. And this position is quite bad for your brain, according to my chiropractor. So she has on the desk as we check out, stand tall. And then she also has now sit tall. So for your own cognitive health, it's really good to try and avoid getting into this sort of position, particularly, when we're tired, we go like this. So it's try and sit tall and try not to kind of slump. And so, these kind of postures that, they're actually even written in the texts. This is, how to sit when you're meditating. And it's not because, this is the rule and you have to sit this way. The reason is because you're going to get the best out of your practice if the blood, the lymph, the breath, the chi, the energy are all able to flow quite easily. And they are going to flow a little bit more easily if your body is aligned and if your body is relaxed. So I'll continue. You imagine your spine is a beautiful string of pearls of light, And it stretches from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And put some space in between your vertebrae. And just lengthen your spine. And then go to the crown of the head and relax your scalp. So imagine you're releasing all the tension in the scalp. Then relax the forehead. I mean, even when you relax the scalp, you can start to feel your face soften. Relax the forehead and the eyes and the nose and the cheeks, the back of the tongue, the jaw, the temples, the ears and the inner ear, the back of the head and the neck. And allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down and relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. Just allow them to kind of release any tension. So with your chin, this is very much part of your head, of course. So have a little bit of length in the back of the neck. Not so much that your head is kind of like falling forward, but in a neutral position and not too high that you have constriction in the back of the neck, because that creates agitation in the mind. So again, if you're slumped over and you're kind of in a kind of a slumped over position, and then you raise your head up so you can see where you're going, then you immediately have constriction in the back of the head. So while we're still strong enough and young enough and healthy enough to keep ourselves upright, it's a really good idea to try and stay that way. So if your eyes were open, sometimes when you're meditating, you can crack your eyes open very slightly. If you're starting to feel drowsy, one of the antidotes is just to crack your eyes open a little bit, allow some light in. It kind of brightens the mind. But you don't open your eyes completely and start looking around, because that will immediately become distracting. So you just crack the eyes open, maybe just separate the eyelids. And then, your eyes are down, so they're looking along the length of your nose to a spot in front of you. So, and it's almost like it's an unfocused drishti gaze. And drishti is a word they use in yoga, it must be Hindu, Sanskrit. So here we are in our we can sort of relax now. Our bones are all aligned. The energy channels, the breath, the blood is moving a little more easily. You can just kind of relax. So then bring your attention to the sensations of your breath. Notice the inhale and the exhale. So when you inhale, it's a little cooler. When you exhale, slightly warmer air, which makes sense because it's coming from within your body, which is warm. And you may notice the sensations at the base of the nose, or just around the outside of the nostrils. When I did my Vipassana training many, many years ago, my teachers were Burmese from Myanmar, and they taught us to sort of focus on a spot at the base of the nose. But different teachers teach placement of the breath differently. So, you just do what works for you. Some people, it's the tip of the nose. Some people, it's the side. It can also depend on the shape of your nose. You may also be aware, of course, we're the rising and the falling of the chest, but there's so much more going on than just the front of the chest. So just breathe in, just notice as you have your in-breath what's happening. Your rib cage is expanding. And this is a 360-degree expansion, not just from the front. So some of us might be tempted as we inhale to sort of just raise our shoulders right up to our ears. But imagine instead you're expanding your lungs and your chest, your rib cage at the back, the side, and at the front. And as you inhale, the diaphragm drops, and as you exhale, it rises up again and assists you to push out all the stale air from the lungs. And then you may notice the belly, rising and falling of the belly. So then it's a good idea to attend to any external stimuli. Sound is a good one, a big one. So if you're living in an apartment block or on a busy street in a city with a family, with pets, there's going to be sound. People walking around the house, up and down the corridor, driving in and out of the driveway. So allow all those sounds to be there. So try not to run off with the mind to investigate. Unless, of course, there's an emergency, but that's a different, whole different story. We're meditating, normal sounds are around, and we just look for anything to distract us. So happy to be distracted. So just allow it all to be there. And we're going to come back to some of these things I've been talking about in the meditation. But here we're just preparing ourselves. So then, it's always good to check in with yourself to see how you're doing. Hi, what's going on? What's happening? And is the mind this evening, this afternoon, this morning, depending on your time zone, the same mind that you woke up with, the mind you have now? And guarantee them when you wake up tomorrow morning, whatever it was that you were thinking about tonight, today, will have changed. Our minds are impermanent. We have this, so many studies now into neuroplasticity is not just for 5-year-olds anymore. All these sayings, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's actually nonsense. The mind is impermanent. We are able to make changes, although it gets more difficult as we get older, but it's possible. So try and put some space in between the thoughts. Another thing that we tend to do is we create little mini documentaries, mini movies, and we kind of project ourselves into the future in our mini movie, and we kind of create all these characters. We kind of superimpose behaviors and emotions and conversations. And then we get all kind of emotional about them, and sometimes they're not even true. It's not even valid. So one thing to do is to try and maybe not follow the story. We create so many stories in our heads, and half the time we don't know actually the facts. So we just take it back a little bit and just check in with ourselves and be curious about what's in the mind. And then also be objective. So amazing. The mind is kind of fascinating. Of course, I was a psychologist before I came to the United States, so I'm always very interested in the mind. So now I just wanted to talk a little bit about this course and what mindfulness is in our tradition, how they define it. So they're defining mindfulness as to be fully mindful is to allow whatever it is we are noticing to come fully to mind or fully into our conscious awareness. So as Bill was saying, so being aware. Bill, yeah. And so in the Buddhist tradition, so in our traditional Buddhist tradition, so not in any kind of secular, just non in the sort of non-traditional world, mindfulness is represented or presented with four characteristics. So without forgetfulness. So our attention is able to engage with its object without forgetting it or losing sight of it. And this is why the breath is so brilliant, because the breath is with us all the time. We have this extraordinarily intimate relationship with our breath. Sometimes we totally take it for granted. That's why not everybody likes the breath, though. Some people like to focus on light or an object or an image in their mind. Some people like to meditate on, like a topic. So they do analytical meditation. But for me, I think the breath is excellent because it's quite physical. It's with you. So you don't lose sight of an object. So the first point is you're not forgetting without forgetfulness. And the strength of a mindfulness kind of depends on how familiar we are with the object. So this is why practice is very helpful, like regular meditation practice, preferably in the same spot at a similar time. So the greater the familiarity, the stronger the associations our mind has for the object, and the better our attention is able to stay on the object. So we have not forgetting and being familiar. And then when we're engaging in mindful meditation, it kind of helps us to keep our attention from wandering away from its object, from the object of meditation. And so when we're kind of really mindful of an object, we're fully focused on it, we get to know it with a sense of certainty, and we're not attending to it in a kind of a half-hearted way. So we become very present, very grounded. And we can give our full attention to the object of mindfulness, which can be sensations in our body. So as they do in the Vipassana meditation, you focus on the sensations in the body of the words of a loved one, or the feeling in our heart, or thoughts that are flowing through the mind. So, mindfulness is actually a natural quality of our mind. We already possess this ability to pay mindful attention. And there's, when you really love somebody, you're very mindful of that person. You can bring up a picture of them in your mind immediately, very clearly. You know how they smile, you know how they talk, you hear the tone of their voice. And I haven't had children, but the same thing with a child. So what we're really doing here is learning how to nurture and strengthen this natural ability that we all have. When you're studying for a test, if you're doing everything last minute, you're very focused. Or if you're doing a difficult or dangerous, potentially dangerous task, you're very mindful of what you're doing. Tightrope walkers, very mindful. High-rise tightrope walkers, extremely mindful. And so mindfulness in, the way it's taught these days, it's really associated with managing our reactivity and our stress and difficult emotions. And it's very helpful. A lot of our problems do, in fact, stem from this kind of unconscious, maladaptive reactivities to circumstances. We often just react rather than taking a step back and thinking. So sometimes we really like to escape by thinking about the future and planning ahead. And if we compulsively do that as a habit, we find it hard to stop. And when the planning and thinking are no longer effective, even if it's no longer serving us, we're still doing it. So mindfulness can help us to refocus our attention to what is relevant and to sort of start to move away from our habit energies. So I wanted to just also go back for a moment. If anyone has any questions about all that. No. No questions? Okay. I just wanted to, not to depress you, but I just want to share this. This Enlightenment Tanka website, they do this beautiful thing where this is a tanka. We actually just saw that first image of the monk chasing the elephant and the monkey. So you may have all have heard of samatha meditation. So they talk about the 9 progressive stages of mental development, the 6 powers of study, contemplation, memory, comprehension, diligence, and perfection. So they say you need all of these if you want to attain samatha. So it really is mindfulness. The practice of samatha, it develops the ability to focus the mind in single-pointed equipoise or perfect concentration. And they say you should practice it in a secluded place, adopting the 7-point meditation posture of Vairocana. So we did that already. So here we start. Let me just go to the first one. So this is stage 1, they call the power of study. This is stage 1 here, this little first section. He's just stepped out of the Gompa. Here it's study or hearing. So the monk fixes his mind on the object of concentration, and he is depicted as chasing the elephant with his lasso and hooked gourd. That's that little hooked gourd. And the monkey runs wildly, leading the elephant. Absolutely no control over the mind whatsoever. Then we come to stage 2, which is the power of concentration. So there's stage 2 here in the larger tanka. So the monk's still kind of running behind, but there's a little bit of change you can see. So this stage is attained through the power of concentration and lengthening the period of concentration on the object. So there are the 5 sense offerings. So silk, touch, and the fruits. These are the fruits. And the conch is there. And then the symbols. Where's the symbols? Sound and the mirror sight. And these are the objects of distraction: touch, taste, smell, sound, and sight. And the elephant and the monkey begin to turn white from their heads, which shows continuous progress, fixing and holding the of concentration. So all they're saying here is that as you get more able to concentrate, there's a little bit of white appearing. So this is just indicative, but they're still running away. We have the power of memory. So these stages are attained through the power of memory and recollection. And the meditator here is holding the clear and detailed conception of the object. So remember, they talked about not forgetting, familiarity. So the monk finally lassos the elephant. So he's got the lasso, he's got the elephant. And he's also got the elephant and the monkey's attention, and fixes the wandering mind of the object. And the hare, suddenly there was no hair there before, appears on the elephant's back and represents the more subtle aspect of sinking or mental torpor. So if any of you have done any meditation, you'll know, particularly if you've done any of the Vipassana courses, you know after lunch you just want to go to sleep. I had many meditations where I slept beautifully in the afternoon, sitting up. I got very good at that. So that all the elephant, monkey, and the hare are looking back, having recognized the objects of mental distraction. So I just find this, see his sound represented there, fruits. So I find this kind of pictorially helpful, because then it gives me an idea of where I'm at. And stages 5 and 6, the power of comprehension. Stage of samatha meditation is attained by absorbing the power of clear comprehension. So the monkey's following the elephant now, not the other way around. And the monk hooks the elephant with his goad, which shows the mind has stopped from wandering. So this is actually 5 and 6, kind of advanced. I mean, I kind of would be lucky if we got there while we're living in the West. But you can see now a little bit of control happening here. The monk has got the mind, the distractions, and the torpor a little bit under control. And the hair disappears here. So the mind, at this section here, you can see, and the mind is now controlled and pacified. And we have this power of diligence, energetic perseverance. So this is also, you need practice. You have to practice. And, Lama Yeshe said, five minutes is a long time for us to meditate in a focused way. If you time yourself for even just 3 minutes, that's fantastic. So I also I teach a class of meditation at the YMCA twice a week. And with these people, we do like 3-minute meditation sessions at the beginning, and then we do a 5-minute one. That's the longest I'll do with them. It's about as much as I can do myself, but I think it's really helpful, and it's encouraging, because if you meditate for too long, you can get distracted, and then you just think, oh, I'm really bad at this, I can't meditate. And I've had so many people come into the room and say, oh, I can't meditate, I'm really bad at this, but I'll try. It's just not true. Everybody has this capacity to be present and focused. So here it's in the 7th and 8th stages. The monkey leaves the elephant and squats behind the back, the monk in complete submission. No more distractions. And there's still a little bit of traces of black on the elephant, which means the subtlest sinking and scattering may continue to arise. So you may get kind of sinking and wanting to sleep and some distractions in the mind. So when you're this refined, when you kind of go into, when you go into a meditation retreat, I don't know if anyone's ever done some kind of a retreat over the weekend or something, and everyone's in silence. And then you start to get so sensitive that even the kind of too much noise or someone's energy can be a little bit disturbing. So I think that's what they mean about that. And then in the 8th stage, which you can see here, the monkey's gone and the elephant's completely white. And this represents a single pointedness of mind. And then here's the stage of perfection. And then we've got the elephant sitting down, perfect equanimity. And at this point, you're supposed to have extraordinary powers. The monk can fly and rides the elephant, bodily bliss, attainment of shamatha. And the upper part of the tanka represents the 10th and 11th stages, and riding the elephant across the rainbow, mental bliss. And the monk wields the flaming sword of perfect insights and rides across the rainbow. And from his heart emanates two dark rainbows, which represent the karmic hindrances, mental illusion, and obscurations of the instincts of mental distortion. I'm not too sure. Don't worry about that. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of the stages as is written in, in the Tibetan texts. But it does make sense. Most of us are probably not going to get up here. This requires quite, a lot of requires isolation, discipline, and somebody who's prepared to teach you to be able to sort of stay this focused. Most of us I can't. We have families and jobs and this kind of thing, so it's not possible. But, if we can get even a little bit of control around these areas here, we're doing fantastically well. Like, even if we can just stop the distractions, even if it's only for 3 or 5 minutes, we're doing okay. Okay, so I'll stop sharing that. Let's just do some meditation. If anyone has any questions. Any questions, anyone? No? Okay. So settle into your meditation posture. 7 point. I didn't explain exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but they're all there. We can go over that next week. So this first meditation is called Simple Mindfulness of Body Through Physical Touch. And my understanding is they've started with the body, physical touch of the bodies, because it's the grossest level, but it's also the easiest to help us settle. So we'll start with this. So we're using the power of our physical touch to help us become aware of the physical sensations at different parts of our body. And so what we're going to do is just very gently, very lightly place our hands on, on one part of a body, like our shoulder or our skull, a head, and you immediately become aware of this sense of touch and the sensations in one part of the body. So the sensations in the hand, the sensations in the part of the body you're touching. And this is a really easy way to introduce mindfulness and allow ourselves to get an experience of being kind of aware and in touch directly with our bodily sensations. So we're becoming mindful of our own body. So when we're doing this, you allow the sensation or the sense of touch to draw your attention to a particular part of the body. So don't massage or manipulate that part. Just just gently hold it. We'll pause at each part for maybe 3 breaths or something. And then you'll start to notice more subtle sensations in the body as well. So start at the crown. You can just very gently rest one hand on the top of your head and allow the sense of touch to draw your attention there. And you might feel the warmth of the skull in your hands, the pressure or the weight of your hand on your skull. on your head. You might also feel your hair. Now move down to your face and perhaps place both hands very gently on your face. And just notice the sensations there. Your face feels, your face probably feels your forehead warm, your cheeks might be cooler. So you might feel the warmth of your hands on your cheeks, the coolness of your face and cheeks in your hands. And just notice whether you're tensing up any of your facial muscles. And can you allow some softness to come into your face? Just relaxing the muscles there. Now you can rest your hands on your neck. Maybe just you can have one hand at the back, one hand at the front if you like. Can you sense the touch of your hands? Your neck might be cooler. Can you feel the warmth of your hands, the pressure, the weight? Maybe you can feel the pulsing of your carotid artery. Don't press too hard. That's you. That's your heartbeat, the blood flowing around your body, nourishing you. And move down to your shoulders. Place your left hand on your right shoulder. You can rest your right hand maybe on the arm of your chair or on your leg. And how's your shoulder feeling today? Maybe there's some tightness there. You can just hang your hand off if you like. Hang your hand there. Feel the weight. What sensations do you feel in your shoulder, down your back? And slide your hand down now to your right elbow and just very lightly hold on to your elbow with your left hand and notice the sensations there. The coolness of your elbow sensation, maybe if you're wearing sleeves, the sensation of the cloth on your hand. And then move down to your right wrist and just hold on to your right wrist with your left hand. And what do you feel here? And place your left hand on top of your right hand and sense the warmth, the touch. You might feel with your right hand, you might feel the weight and the pressure of your left, and with your left hand you might feel the skin, noticing the skin of the right. Now place your right hand on your left shoulder. And what do you feel there? Is it the same as your right shoulder? Maybe different. And slide your hand down to the right elbow and hold on to it. Sorry. Right hand on your left elbow. And your left wrist. Does it feel different to your right wrist? And now place your right hand on top of your left. And how does that feel? Is that different in some way? Now place both hands over your heart center. Have the left hand closest to your heart, the right hand resting on top. And what can you sense here? Can you feel the beating of your heart? Yes, that's your heart. Do you notice the rhythm of your breathing along with other sensations? Now just move your hands down to your belly and rest them there. And can you feel the sensations on the surface of the belly, your clothes? And then what do you notice in your abdominal cavity? And maybe move your hands down to your kind of hip bones if that works for you, the pelvic region. Just feel the weight of your pelvis on its physical support. See if you can release your sits bones so your pelvis can rest comfortably on your seat. Now slide your hands kind of over your quads and to your knees and just rest your hands on your knees and just focus your attention on the sensation that's at the knees. Now send your attention down to the feet. Leave your hands on your knees and just sense sensations at the soles of the feet, the top of the foot, our toes. What are you feeling there in your foot, in your feet? And having activated all these sensations into awareness, can you rest both legs and release their weight to gravity? So just for, a couple of minutes, rest your body in this posture. Just allow it to settle and be comfortable here. To give you a bio break, you can stay in meditation just for 5 minutes. And then if you have any questions, please let me know, and then we'll be doing one more meditation before we finish tonight. Okay. And if you've noticed you've traveled a little bit with the mind, just very gently bring it back to the breath, to the sensations of the body. Everybody just relax. Although I hate to disturb you, some of you look like you're very deep in meditation. Yep, it's going to be hard to bring you guys out. Okay. Just very slowly open your eyes. I mean, it's great that you're sitting there. Meditation is really good. Fantastic. Did anyone find they were getting distracted? Shayla, you're living in a small place with a child, so and a dog. So
I don't count.
but it's not all I'm saying is if you have distractions, you actually do. Do you know what I mean? You're not in a quiet place. You have things going on in your home. So whatever you're able to do is just kind of like fantastic, right? The fact that you're even here, it's amazing. Okay, that's the first step. And also keep that in mind, the fact that you've turned up. Anything else beyond turning up is a bonus. So there we go. We lost Nim though. I don't know what's going on. All right. Anybody else? I love the way, Kimberly, I love the way your face just kind of appears.
There I am rising. That was great. I mean, I've taken this course many times, and
I know you have.
every time it's new.
For me too. Okay, good.
And I love being in a group. So
It's lovely to have you in the group. It
thank
really
you.
is. It's good. That's why it's nice to have everyone's cameras on. So, Kimberly's also not in a particularly quiet environment because she's in a hospital. So, there's people coming in and out and nurses, and you can hear sounds and other patients. So, um, but the fact that she's here and because she's done this course before, probably knows what's coming and how to do it. So, Keela, how's it going for you?
In terms of what? The meditation?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I almost fell asleep.
Yeah, you look like you were kind of into it, so I
But
just wanted to, and that's fine. That's quite good, mate. The other,
fall asleep, but I like that's where I felt like I got distracted. Like almost like, oh, wait, that's a distraction from the meditation if you fall asleep. But I was
yeah,
very relaxed.
that's fantastic. And the other thing too is, that represents the hair on the back of the elephant. Remember in that picture we were showing,
Um,
and it does eventually disappear, this need for falling asleep. And there was, in the meditation the class at the YMCA, there was this woman, Ola, and I think she has a really busy life because she would come in. First thing she does when she sits down and closes her eyes is fall asleep, but she's also snoring quite loudly. So, I have to give everybody permission just to tap her very gently so she wakes up. But one of the things I say to people is that, some people are coming in here from kind of busy, stressful lives, and for the first few sessions, they may need to this might be the only space they have in which to rest. If you're a busy person with a family and a job and pets, maybe the bathroom is the only place you get any peace. But even then, my cats used to follow me into the bathroom. So, even then, you don't really have any space to yourself. So it's fine. I, it's not something you want to get into the habit of over a long period of time, but I think it's definitely fine to be relaxed. And your chair looks quite comfy too, actually. But did it bother you, or you were just happy to come back?
Did it bother me that I almost fell asleep?
Yeah,
It didn't bother me, but I was just sort of like, oh, that's not what I was supposed to be doing.
that's okay. Well, then that's okay, and it's okay. It's like, oh, I fell asleep. So you can be curious about the fact that you fell asleep and then just bring yourself very,
I didn't fall asleep. I
oh,
almost,
but that you almost fell asleep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I caught myself and I was like, not sure that's what that felt like a bit of wandering.
Oh, fantastic. What's great that you caught it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yvonne, how are you doing?
Good. I feel like I too almost fell asleep, but then I opened my eyes just a little, like you said. So I
Awesome.
made sure to do that. And then I felt like pain in the body, like pain that you have, that seemed to be something that distracted me a little bit, like just in my neck and back, just, you know, kind of being like nothing major, but just the tightness or whatever, just that kind of distracted me too a little bit. So maybe I need to sit better, or the posture needs to be better. I don't know, maybe something like that. I should maybe do more.
Do you normally have tension in your body?
Yeah, the neck and the shoulders, and sitting straight is really not easy for me. You know, the
So,
sitting straight.
uh-huh.
And, and then,
So are you sitting at your desk with your feet down or are you sitting cross-legged?
no, I'm sitting in like a couch or type of seat. So it's not a hard seat. It's like a couch type
Okay.
of seat with pillows behind, and so I can put my feet on the ground. So I do
Okay.
have that. Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that I find quite helpful sometimes is if you're sitting on a more supportive surface with a cushion, like maybe this much of cushion underneath your sits bones, and that adjusts your pelvis enough to be able to help you straighten the spine.
Okay.
Another thing you can do is roll up a towel, like a hand towel or a small towel that you would use in the shower or whatever. Roll it up and put this up against your thoracic spine. And then you're leaning up against the back of the chair or the
Mm-hmm.
wall, right? So you're not
Mm-hmm.
kind of leaning slumped into it, but part of that tension could be because there's, too much softness in the couch and it's not really supporting you. So if you sit on a chair, maybe a chair with some cushion, and then raise your sits bones with a cushion like I have here. It's just a little cushion like this. And then
Mm-hmm.
I just put it under my sits bones and because I'm sitting cross-legged, but I'm on a chair.
Mm-hmm.
That just helps me to shift the pelvis. So I'm because a lot of us are quite tight in
Mm-hmm.
our pelvic area. So what we're going to do is when we're sitting, we just kind of slump like this because we can't sit straight. But if you have like a roll, I find this really, really helpful. Just so you would only have it about maybe this much in diameter, and
Mm-hmm.
then you put that up against your thoracic region,
Mm-hmm.
right across opposite from the sternum. That is really, really supportive. And because the chairs that we're sitting on in the YMCA are so uncomfortable, I find this is the most supportive and you'll probably find that because then you'll be able to relax your shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah. And are you spending quite a bit of time at the computer?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and Keela, are you also spending quite a bit of time at the computer?
Yes, but
Okay.
I actually had a strange experience when with the tightness. Is it like normally my body's very relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually got tighter in the meditation.
Oh, interesting. Where particularly at which point?
Well, really, like all the touching, all my shoulders and neck. But when I can't, but normally I don't have tension in my body. I've learned how to relax my body because I have to sit all day. And so it became less relaxed when I was like trying to sit right or trying to do things than but I don't think I think I'm just normally just like kind of have my muscles dropped. It's like something I've learned.
So it might be that your body's not used to sitting in an aligned fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's new. So of course the body's going, huh? What are you doing? This is not the way we sit. And it's just like when you do a little bit of exercise or a bit of yoga, and then all of a sudden you do feel it.
Yep.
Do Yvonne and Keela, do you guys get up and walk around every 20 minutes?
Ooh,
So
no, probably not.
okay, so I know it's really hard to break whatever focus you have, but it would be really good if you could stand, because both of you are experiencing some form of tension from sitting. Stand every about, if at least once half an hour. At least, yeah, once a half an hour. Just stand and move, and then you can sit down again, because it's hard for the body to sit all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to get issues in your, because you're also looking at a screen, and yeah. Anyway, it would be helpful for that. But I think even when you're sitting at your computer, if you can have a roll up against the back, you'll find that very, very supportive. Yeah. So hopefully that helps Yvonne and also Keela. So with the
Okay.
sitting. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to try
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Yeah, try that.
Good ideas.
Okay. Bill, are you good? I notice your surname is good.
Yeah, I'm good. Actually, this is probably one of the first times I was actually able to sit straight for the length of
Fantastic.
time.
Good.
Probably because I made an effort to make sure both feet were on the ground, because I basically stand while I'm working. I stand almost the whole day except for breaks. So
So you're opposite to these two.
the opposite. So usually when I'm
God.
sitting, I want to cross my leg even when I'm being told
Oh,
you do stuff. But I
yeah.
made the constant effort at the beginning, and I mean I do have a support, behind the back. But
Right.
even then, usually I end up slouching. But
Uh-huh.
today I was just able to just concentrate on the feet, and so that was actually very good. I was able to come back to when like I started hearing the cat. It's like I was able to get back to the meditation much quicker than
Fantastic.
normal, because I was seated right for once.
Yeah, it does help. I mean, that's why they put it in the texts. This is a good way to sit. But anyway, I've adjusted it with the feet down because, again, not everybody's sitting cross-legged. Not everyone can, and it's not necessary. It's just as long as the body's aligned. But it's always tempting for me too to cross my legs. It's actually not very good for your spine to sit cross-legged like that. Okay. Kimberly's good. Paul, Cynthia's got not very good internet, so she's not able to. Okay, no worries, Cynthia. So, can you use your audio? Is it how are you going in terms of your sitting?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice to hear from.
my challenge is not. Yeah, thank you, Kate, Evan. Well, Katie, I've been in your meditations and things,
Oh,
but
you
my
have.
challenge actually is not in a specific session, but more like when I lose momentum in my practice, due to various things, like just things happening in life. Uh, I find that in itself then affects my specific meditation. It starts to almost like disintegrate the practice.
Oh
Starts
yeah,
to
I know.
disintegrate.
I hear you.
So yeah, and so it's like then you have to start all over again. So this is part of why I just, like you said, if we could just be there, then I can restart that practice, and then I'll have that. I start to have that habit again, and build it back up. I've done that so many times, and just this since I started Buddhism, and at first I would almost like give up, but now I just try and be persistent and just start all over. Yeah. So my main issue right now is distraction, because of like I'm helping my mom has dementia, and then she did have a fall a couple of months ago.
Oh, sorry to
She
hear.
did recover nicely, which was amazing for all of us because she's 97.
Wow.
But that that, yeah, and she still walks up the stairs, very stubborn. But that kind of just affects, and then you have to give up some of your practice, and then that's where I'm at. Like, I'm just trying to attend classes when I can, but I know that now that I have to build it back up. Like, so I'm here. That's what I'm trying to
Well,
do. Yeah.
Cynthia, it's great that you could come. And the more you take care of yourself with your own practice, the better you're going to be able to be available for your mother. But I do appreciate, I hear you. And the other thing too is we're all human and we all have lives, and we don't have the privilege of living in the mountains having people looking after us. We have
Yeah.
responsibilities. So what we do is we just do the best we can. And it's almost like you're not actually starting over again, because you've already got this kind of continuum of these practices in your mind stream. So it's there. It's just a bit of a hiccup. And
It's true. Yes.
and
And it's very helpful to have this community. I'm very thankful and
yes, it is.
appreciative to
Yeah, I
just
know.
be able to get back in and have the support. So I appreciate that
So
a lot.
welcome. Yeah. And you also have to remember it's extraordinarily fantastic work that you're doing with your mum, and you won't regret it. When your mother finally is no longer here, you'll be happy with what you've done. And
Yes, thank you.
it's really important. And even though she may not seem like she's here, she knows at some level that you're there for her. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
thanks.
yeah, I hear how difficult that sound. Are you living with her, or is she in a home?
No, she lives with an oldest brother, but we have like just the caring issues, and then you start to
Oh,
have
no.
family conflicts, so that
Yes.
becomes just really complicated.
Hmm.
So the practice for sure, Venerable Katie, you're right that it. I still do have that guidance, which I'm so thankful for, because then I just say, okay, but my intention is to try and help my mom, so I'm gonna set this difference aside, and that totally helps. It's a huge help to be able to focus back. So it's there. A
That's,
little bit of the practice I've done in the
yeah.
past has guided me a little bit to be more focused in the positive aspects of it. Yeah.
And I mean, because we will go into managing the mind in the later weeks. I think we have 5 weeks. So maybe week 3 or 4 or something, we start looking at um, how to manage the mind as it's things like this are coming, distractions and different types of emotions. And sounds like you're probably actually, as you're going about your day, you're probably doing quite a bit of work. Just because you're not sitting down on your meditation cushion in perfect peace and quiet up in the mountains doesn't mean to say you're not practicing. So
Mm.
you can be managing your mind in relation to some conflict in the family. That's practice.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Yes.
not sitting on your cushion necessarily. You could be sitting on your cushion and your mind could be raging. I mean, that's not beneficial. But if
Yes.
you're dealing with your mother and she's shouting, or you're having a conflict with your brother because he feels that she's in his house and no one else is doing it, he's doing it, and whatever. I know the family dynamics, right? So, and you're just staying calm and centered and not reacting, you're practicing. That's practice. That's insane. And you're living with it, that day after day after day. And also remember, it's not going to go on forever. But it's quite the practice what you're doing. So I just think it's
Oh,
amazing. Well done.
and the purification, that's why you see me a lot there. That totally helps. I have to do that purification practice.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
come. So, and Mary, who was here helping us get set up this afternoon, she also is looking after her mother, who also has, she has her mother has sundowner syndrome. She probably wouldn't mind me telling you, which means at sundown she gets dementia at sundown. I've never heard of that before, but that
Oh,
just
yeah,
sounds
actually,
scary.
my mom tends to be that way, where she
Yeah,
has some lucid
sundowners.
and like totally, in a way, she becomes irritable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I saw some data about the MCT coconut oil, and then I said, okay, this is not gonna harm her. I tried. It actually does seem to help, but you're right. It's just it definitely helps with the patient's practice for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And just being creative with how to help out. Every situation is unique. So definitely I've been hanging on to, it's why I'm hanging on to the purification, because I had a lot more daily practice. And then now there's just a couple of things I'm hanging on to, like the
Mm-hmm.
DB course, and this one I want to try and finish. And I try and go to the purification practice as much as I can, because everything else kind of just, for now, there's a big pause.
Yeah.
But to your point, I'm just trying to be, in a way, I'm grateful, because actually, Venerable Kate, I'm actually like opposite side of the world. So I'm in the Philippines, uh, so I've not been able to go back, and I'm not sure, because my plan was to go back June. That might not happen, but still, I'm just focused on the purification, and also just being grateful that I have the little bit I can lean on to, the practice that you said, that there's some foundational stuff there that I'm
Mm-hmm.
leaning back on, to go with my day to day. Yeah.
And like I said, it's not that you're not practicing, you are practicing. You're using all the
Yeah.
things in your day-to-day life. That's practice.
Thanks
The
for the
other,
reminder.
yeah, you can practice standing in the line at the store. You can practice in your car or in the taxi or whatever you're doing to get around. And you can practice while you're having a shower. So it's just a matter of reminding yourself that, very often we get into pain or we get into mental distress, and then we forget that we have all these tools that we can use to calm ourselves down, like stop and take 5 breaths before you answer something that's causing a reaction.
Yes.
Just don't have to answer. You can just be quiet and breathe. Or, there's many things that we have in our toolbox that we just somehow forget in the moment. So part of our practice is to remember the tools that we do have and to pull them out. Okay. And remember that we can use them. And then not to be too judgmental about where we're at, what we're doing wrong, but to focus more on the positive qualities that we have. Like I said, you turned up and you're in the Philippines. So I don't know what time it is there, maybe early morning. Anyway.
Opposite of Eastern
Yeah,
time,
it's
12 hours.
7 in the morning. I think
It's same as Eastern, except opposite
oh, I
day.
see.
Yeah,
So it's 9 at 8:30,
10:30, 10:30 in
9:30,
the morning.
10:30. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we haven't got time to do this second meditation. Normally this course is 2 hours long. So anyway, we've got an hour and a half. But I wanted to just check in with everyone. And Paul, I haven't heard from you. Are you able to say something?
I am actually. I have
Hi.
two observations. Hi. One is that you started this evening talking about kind of the classic curve in the back and the posture. And one of the one of the phrases you use in the morning a lot is a string of pearls of light from your crown to the to the base of your spine, and I love that image. Unfortunately, my string of pearls of light are more like the lights that we have out on our patio that kind of wave around. So I'm working hard on posture. I think it's very important, but I'm have a lot of work to do there. The other observation is for me, there's a real almost a dialectic when using the example of touch that we did tonight, where so I will put a hand on my shoulder and I start chasing those feelings. So I get the tactile feeling and I get the warmth and I get what's going on in my shoulder and I start just going down. I don't know if I'm the monkey or who I am, but somebody's. So all of a sudden my thoughts are racing over that point of focus. There's so much input there. There's just so much to be
Oh, so it's
discovered, you know.
uh-huh.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I tend to chase it down, and so those are the things that I work on all the time, and certainly worked on tonight. Sometimes with greater results than others, but you also mentioned that 2 or 3 minutes is a wonderful period of time, and that's really what I strive for. I rarely get there, but it's what I strive for.
I think with we all have creative spines. That's how my yoga teacher talks about it.
Yes.
And as we get older, we start to have different forms of scoliosis or kyphosis or whatever. It's definitely wonderful if we can try and keep ourselves aligned. And part of that might be, even doing some kind of exercise, swimming if we can, swimming or yoga or Tai Chi or whatever is available in your area. And that's very, very helpful to develop some awareness about where your spine's at. And then to try and figure out, well, what can I do so it doesn't go in the wrong direction or like in a direction that's going to make my older age more difficult. So I think the point for me is to maintain kind of our health and our well-being, mental, physical, psychological, energetic, as long as we can. And then we don't end up in these situations like Cynthia's mum. So, and then when you get older and you start losing your balance and you start to fall, it's usually kind of the beginning of the end when you start falling. So one of the things I think is also really important is to make sure that we're well balanced as well, that our balance is in, that it's working okay, because as we do get older, we don't quite have the same balance that we have because we don't have the same strength. So anyway, looking towards that. And so maybe, Paul, it's just too stimulating for you to do this kind of touch. But also, it's another thing that you can do is just touch less, touch more lightly, and then focus on the sensation of the touch rather than. So anyway, what's good about that is you notice the mind was taking off. So if you ever do this exercise again, we'll probably do it at the beginning next week, is to notice. It'll be different the next time you do it. And so maybe this week, just practice just start with a hand on the head and just close your eyes and breathe for maybe 3 or 5 breaths and just notice the sensation. And then maybe do that as an exercise. And if you do it repeatedly, maybe once a day, and notice if it changes or if it gets worse or if it gets more distracting or if you start to be able to focus on the hand, the sensations underneath the hand, the sensations of the skull. But you may have a very active mind. So, fantastic for noticing.
And I do have a very active mind, which is one of the reasons I'm participating in this.
Okay, good. My mind's very active as well. In fact, I don't even know how I end up teaching meditation, but anyway, it just seemed to be what happened. But it's certainly very good for me, and I hope it's helpful for everybody else as well. So we're now at 1 minute. So 1 minute towards the end, and then we have Vajrasattva in half an hour. So I'll probably try and fit this meditation in, and then I might have a chat with Venerable Dundrup so that next time we can maybe have this class as 2 hours, because it really does need it. If we're going to invite everybody to share and then do the meditations and then do a little bit of explanation. It does take a little bit more time. But anyway, yep, there's my calendar telling me I'm meditation half an hour. So let's just dedicate in all the merit we've created doing this practice, or any insights that you may have had, any kind of understanding, any sort of any appreciation of your own effort coming along tonight. You could just dedicate any positivity to anybody that you might know who needs it, maybe, and also to yourself as you're moving along your own path. And everyone's moving on their path at a different pace, in a different way. So just have appreciation for where you're at right now. Okay, everyone. So I hope to see you all next week. Lots of love, and you're very welcome to come along to our Vajrasattva meditation, which is at 8 o'clock, if you wish. It's 8 o'clock our time. It must be 9 o'clock
Mountain time.
your
9 o'clock.
mountain time, and then what is it? 11 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
I can't
That's
believe
10
people
o'clock
come.
Central.
I can't believe people come. Anyway, I'm going to have some dinner, and then I'll see some of you later on in a half an hour. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank-
Venerable.
Thank you.